back on our bullshit, filming real late in the day and the sun's already starting to go down. Also, I feel like extra ugly. So if you want to say something mean, please don't, because I'm not in the mood. Hi, it's me again. So if we're being totally honest, I've been in a not great mood for like a week. So I didn't really want to like try and vlog and like be like that happy bitch, because honestly, you haven't been for like a week. But yeah, I mean, this is a call out post for me. So I thought I would try and be slightly more positive, and I would talk about my favorite magical moments from this past summer working at Disney World. So I totally forgot about this, but I do have a note on my phone where I listed all these, where like I wrote some down throughout the summer, and I'm sure there's more, but these are the ones that I've written down, so the ones that like obviously I can remember. So I only have 5. Well, I have 5, but one of them is going to be its own video because it's like a really long story. So I'm only going to talk about 4 in this video. On my first shift ever, I worked Town Square Theater with Minnie and Mickey. If you don't know, they used to meet together and they're like cute little birthday outfits. I loved it. They looked like this. This is actually a photo from this day, from my first day as a character attendant. Real cute. And I, first of all, already emotional. First day, stressed out, but happy to be there. Don't really know what I'm doing. It's a weird location. It's like kind of easy, but also like, yes, at Town Square Theater, too much for me sometimes. It's my first day, so like we were already running high on emotions, okay? And this family came in and the parents were super sweet, and they were like, can we like go to the side so we can like film and take videos of like our little one? And we were like, yeah, totally, let the kids meet the characters. They had this little girl, and like I am really bad at kids ages. So if I say like 2 to 4 and you're like, that's a really long gap, she was 2 to 4, okay? She was like, it was gonna be like this big. She was like walking, but was still like small. Like she was definitely under 6. I'm weird on my camera. Oh, butter. There's butter on my camera. But the parents explained that they brought their daughter. This was her first trip. She was autistic and she was deaf. So she like obviously couldn't speak and couldn't hear, or she could speak but not very well. She mostly signed. And they watched the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse like every single day. Like it was her favorite thing. Like all she wanted this trip was to meet Mickey, and she was so excited to talk to Mickey and all this stuff, and she was just like, she was screaming the whole time, like cute kid scream, not like evil kid scream, but she was so cute. And the parents put her down and she ran over, and this was like the only thing this little girl wanted to do apparently, was learn how to sign Mickey Mouse's name so she could talk to Mickey Mouse. I think about this all the time still, and it's so cute. Apparently Mickey Mouse is just ears, like it's just this. So picture this like adorable little like deaf like 3-year-old running towards Mickey Mouse, just doing this over and over again. It was the cutest shit I've ever seen, and it was, like I said, it was my first day. I was like already like emotionally unprepared for any of this, and it was just so cute. I was like on the verge of tears. My photo pass is on the verge of tears. I can't even imagine how Minnie and Mickey were feeling. This kid was just so cute. But they really started my time with the company like that. That was my first one. That's how I started with the company. Day 1, cutest kid in the entire world, meeting Minnie and Mickey. It's not like that was, you know, my dream or anything like that. 2, okay, this is kind of awkward because you technically aren't allowed to propose in front of a character. Your character can take photos with the ring, they can take photos afterwards, but characters can't be in proposal photos. So it's a little PSA. If you're planning on proposing, don't do it directly in front of a character. Propose somewhere else and then go take photos with their favorite character afterwards. But at Be Our Guest, we got this all the time because people were spending money on this like really expensive meal. They were like dressed up all fancy because they were in the castle and all this stuff, and they would go meet the beast and they would try and propose in front of the beast. And like, this doesn't sound like a good story because it is really awkward, but luckily the guy let me know. He was the first guest waiting after the beast came back from like walking around and greeting the castle. So the guest knew, performer knew, photo pass knew, I knew, but obviously the fiance didn't know, which made it nice because it made it easy for it to orchestrate it. But then they proceeded to take like some of the cutest photos ever. Thank you to my photo pass who knew this, because I wouldn't have thought about it, but they have the cutest photos of their hands like overlapped like this in the beast paws, and like some people might be like, that's some furry shit, but like, I love the bee so much that I would love to have those photos. I think it's so cute, and I appreciate that the guest told us, because it made it a lot easier for us to like orchestrate him not being in the photos. But it was really cute. The photos afterwards were like super cute. So that was like my first proposal that I ever saw. So it wasn't like, you know, as cute as like a screaming child, but still real cute. Another proposal one is Snow White when I was working at Town Square, and this one was adorable. The person proposing came up and they were saying that like it was their partner's like favorite character was Snow White, and she was like full Disney bound in Snow White, and they were super excited, and they'd been like together for years and years and years, and they had like family together and all this stuff, and they were like finally proposing, and they were on a, okay, wait, how do I word this? The fiance said that, but the whole like basis of it is that they were on like a small family trip. So the person being proposed to thought it was only like their partner, their best friend, and like their daughter, I think, with them. They were like a really small group, and they were like, oh, there's no line for Snow White because no one ever knows that she's in Town Square, so no one ever visits her. So they were like, oh, we'll go get photos of Snow White because you're like Disney pounding to Snow White, you look super cute and it'll be great. And they were having this like whole conversation and everything was going great, and then this person got down on one knee and proposed, which was already adorable because they were like Disney bounding to Snow White, and they had this whole like trip planned, and like it was her favorite character. And then after the proposal, the entire family came out. Like, I'm not kidding, like probably 10 to 15 people came out of the guest relations building, and her whole family was there. They had like filmed it and had photos, and she had like no idea. She was like sobbing, being like, I thought this was just supposed to be like a girls trip, and it was gonna be like a small thing. It was so cute. And they got all like these huge family photos, and like we were just like chatting with them for a long time because again, no one ever comes to Snow White, so no one knows we're back there, so we can spend more time with guests. But it was just super cute. Like, they had planned this whole thing and the whole family was there. I can imagine, like, as much as like proposals are intimate, it's like nice to have your family there to see it and to like not have to like break the news to them separately and stuff. So like, I don't know, I just thought it was really cute. Last one, this is another one of those ones that like just makes you want to cry thinking about it. So we did get a lot of Genie Pass families, where if you don't know what that is, it's families that work with Make-A-Wish and in turn work with Give Kids the World. And Genie Pass essentially means they like don't have to wait in line and things like that. It's like an automatic fast pass because they're with a child with usually a terminal illness. Most of the time it was just like fine. The characters were obviously like nice to them, treated them the same, but I was working Fairy Tale Hall with Cinderella and Elena, who are like my favorite half of Fairy Tale Hall. If I was gonna work Fairy Tale Hall, which I honestly didn't like that much anyways, I would rather work Cinderella Elena side than Rapunzel Tiana side. This family came in, they were the last family of the night visiting Cinderella and Elena, and they love Cinderella. They were talking about like how their little one who was there, it was this like sweet little girl. She was deaf, she was in a wheelchair, she like loved Cinderella. And she like went up to go meet her, and Cinderella like said like, hello princess, and the mom was explaining to Cinderella like, oh, like she's deaf, she won't be able to understand you. And then Cinderella, because princesses, was fluent in American Sign Language, and as soon as she started like signing to this little girl, you like saw this little girl's like face light up, and she was so excited that like no one had been able to do this all day. I literally like feel like I'm tearing up talking about it because it was so sweet. But like the mom was sobbing and their whole party was sobbing, and I guess they just hadn't had a character like be able to communicate with their daughter in their trip before. And it was like this character that she'd been like looking forward to meeting all day, and it was like the last thing at the end of the day, and it was just so cute. I like things like that to me are like what makes it worth it. Like, people complain about how Disney is like so expensive and like hot and crowded and just like a waste of money, but I feel like it's things like that that are like little things that make like this huge difference. Because it's stories like, you don't hear stories like that at like Canada's Wonderland or Six Flags or Busch Gardens and things like that. Like, that's just a very Disney thing, and like it warms my heart. Oh my gosh, related to that, I forgot about this, but I'll throw this in here now. Again, I was working Cinderella Elena. A lot of times when Elena is in Fairy Tale Hall, she's practicing her Spanish. So if you don't know, Elena of Avalor is a Disney Junior princess, really good friends with Sophia. She's got a whole backstory. She's actually really badass. I really enjoy her as a character, but she does come from like a pseudo-Spanish heritage where it doesn't say she's Spanish in the cartoon, but she has a lot of like Spanish traditions in her character. So a lot of times when she is in Fairy Tale Hall, she is practicing her Spanish and she can talk to guests in Spanish. Not always, so don't get mad at Elena if you go in there, she doesn't speak Spanish, because like sometimes she's just not in the mood to practice her Spanish, you know. This it's not her fault. It's exhausting to learn a language, you know. We got it all the time where we would have obviously like little girls or little boys that didn't speak English very well and Spanish was their first language, and they would come and talk to Elena, and you would just like see their reactions when she would speak Spanish to them, and it was insane. Like, again, like, it's those things that are so important that we don't think about, but like, oh, it's so cute. And we had the sweetest little girl one day. She was probably like 8. Again, I'm really bad at kids' ages, so don't take that as like the word of law, but she was like around 8ish, and she was like this like, you know, small little girl, and she was just chatting with me in line. She was one of those kids that just like talks, and if you've worked with kids, you know how there's those kids who just talk at you and just want your attention all the time. But she was really sweet about it, and she wasn't being like rude or like distracting or anything like that. And working with face characters, it's like they can do their own thing, they can open their own books, they don't need me as much. So I was just chatting with her, and this little girl was like so happy to meet Elena, and I was like, oh, is she like one of your favorite characters? Like, who else have you met? Like, basic talking points. And she literally said, she was a little Spanish girl, she literally said that she was excited to meet Elena because she was cool and a tomboy, because if you don't know her story, she teaches sword fighting in her kingdom. Like I said, she's a total badass. She was excited to meet a princess who's finally a tomboy and actually looked like her, because she had like grown up seeing like Cinderella and Aurora and Snow White and characters like that, and she was like, I just like actually seeing a princess that finally looks like me and has things in common with me. And I'm like, this is why representation in the parks is important. I want to like flip a table. But like that, like I don't think about that. I'm like the whitest piece of garbage that's ever existed. Like, I was that girl that grew up loving Cinderella and Aurora, even though like they don't do a lot, because they looked like me, because they were like these blonde hair, blue-eyed white girls. So I didn't even think about it until I like started, you know, looking at my surroundings and caring about other people as a teenager and young adult. I didn't even think about things like that. But talking to guests like in the parks, like face to face, it made me realize how important representation in the parks is. That's why I wish we had more characters like Moana meet in the parks regularly, because it's so important to not just have like a slurry of white girls as your only princesses. But yeah, that one just made me think of it. Working in Fairy Tale Hall, I had surprisingly good times in Fairy Tale Hall, considering how much I didn't like that shift and never picked up there. And got rid of every Fairy Tale Hall shift that I possibly could that I was scheduled. I think that's where I'm gonna end it here. I've already been talking for like 15 minutes. Obviously there's more. I can think of one off the top of my head, one more, but I think I'll save that. Maybe I'll do another video if I can like think of more. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for now. Those were just a few cute little like magical momenty stories that I got to experience as a character attendant. If you have any good stories, you can leave them down below. I love hearing these, like as much as people love like crazy guests, like nightmare roommate stories. Like, I think these are so much more like positive and fun, way more my vibe, I feel like, and what I'm trying to stick to. We're trying to be more positive in the new year. Okay, if you enjoyed this, then please subscribe. Like I said, I have more videos of these coming up. I also do have another terrible guest video coming up, because guests are always terrible, so I'm always gonna have some of those. But I do lots of Disney stuff, vlog stuff. I'm currently planning a Disneyland trip, so every Friday we have a new video about Disneyland. So if you're interested in the West Coast, if you're an East Coaster, subscribe for that. All my links to everything else are down below. I'm usually easier to get a hold of on Instagram and Twitter a lot of the time, so you can hit me up there. And I will see you guys on Friday for another Disneyland video then. Bye!